I just spent some money, here's what I bought, and maybe you'd be interested in similar stuff, so I'm making a video on it because I've been planning on putting together another build, but then RAM prices shot through the roof. I'm wondering if some of you are in that same situation. So what I've been looking for with a lot of this Black Friday deal stuff is a combo deal that got me some free memory. Now, free, it might not be exactly what you would have bought if you were buying it separately, but again, RAM prices have shot through the roof. So at Newegg today, and I want to be clear that this is not sponsored at all, I'm just literally looking for stuff to buy. I was noticing some bundle deals on motherboards where right now you can get this B850 with Wi-Fi, and I was looking for Wi-Fi on the build that I'm trying to do because there's not convenient Ethernet ports nearby. And this is coming bundled with 16 gigabytes in a 2x8 configuration, so you do get dual channel, a DDR5 6000, I think it's CL38, so not the fastest timings, memory. Now it's only 16 gigabytes. I would certainly prefer 32, but the thing is that most 32 gigabyte kits right now are well over $200, which is just insane. Whereas here, we're spending, a bit above the least expensive, B850 motherboards, but not by a lot in getting that RAM bundled in. And with pricing the way it is right now, this just makes a lot of sense. Now, I was also noticing, the memory is white paired up with the white motherboard. By the way, the other thing I was looking at here was double checking that there's 4 RAM slots, because here's my plan to hopefully make this all more reasonable, is that in the future, hopefully RAM prices come back down, in which case I should be able to get another matching set to fit into the other 2 slots. Now, there's always some chance that, you don't get an exact matching set and you get some RAM compatibility issues. Usually you can manually set timings and make it work. So again, that's always a bit of a caveat. It's not the best plan, but we're not in the best time for buying memory right now. So that's the plan, is basically get the PC up and running with 16 gigabytes. And if you're not multitasking while gaming, this is generally still fine. So that's the plan. 16 gigabytes to get by, eventually add in another matching set into those other RAM slots. Now, since we were kind of on the white motherboard and RAM train here, I was then thinking, okay, is there other interesting stuff to pair with this? So one thing I was looking at is I actually already have an ASRock Steel Legend 9070 XT, I have right now I have a couple of 9070 XTs, so I'm going to use this one in the build. So I want to be clear right now, I didn't just go out and purchase this. I already have one, but right now it's $20 above MSRP. I want to be clear that you can get some at MSRP right now if you're just looking at other 9070 XTs. So if you were just searching for a 9070 XT, today, you might not want to buy this particular one. Although I like the Steel Legend, I have no issues with it. There's some available for $20 less. Now, my thought is that for this particular build, I think the white color scheme of the Steel Legend is going to match the build better. So I think it fits nicely if you're following along with this particular build. And it is only $20 more, and I have experience with this specific card, and it does a good job for me. So there's that. Anyway, so I'm going with that. Now, to finish out the rest of the build, though, I was also hoping to get some other good deals. So when I was looking through CPU options, one thing I noticed is that Newegg is also having some bundle deals right now where you can get a CPU cooler bundled in with some CPUs. And I noticed that the 9600X right now, while their price is a little bit higher than Amazon, I'm noticing that Amazon currently has $195. I'm noticing that Newegg has a $10 off promo, bringing this down to $205. So it's $10 more than buying it on Amazon, but it's coming bundled with this cooler right now. So look, add free gift to cart while supplies last. So by buying the 9600X, which doesn't come with a bundled CPU cooler, this is coming with this bundled in at no additional cost. Now, notice that this is not like, the most ridiculously powerful CPU cooler or whatever, but I notice that it's white RGB. It kind of fits the color scheme. That's the idea here. So you get this 240 millimeter AIO kind of bundled in with it. And again, it seems like it's fitting the overall build pretty well. And honestly, the 9600X is not going to be super hard to cool. So I think that that's going to be a pretty good pairing. So that gets us the CPU and the CPU cooler taken care of, the motherboard and the memory taken care of. And notice that in the build price, we don't need to include those because they're kind of bundled in with this. Although I guess I should probably set this one to the Newegg version. Can I set it to the Newegg one? I don't know. Maybe I could get better at PC part picker. Anyway, the point is that should be $10 more. But anyway, so obviously then we're going to need a case and a power supply. So to select cases, what I actually just kind of went through was clicking through sort prices low to high on stuff that would be compatible, and then looking for one that looked nice and came with some pre-installed fans, because usually getting some pre-installed fans is going to be a better kind of a bundled deal than buying fans separately. So at $60, we're getting this Montech mid-tower case here, and this looks like it should fit everything. Again, it's white, fits the build, and has some pre-installed fans. Again, this comes with 340 millimeter and 120 millimeter ARGB fans pre-installed. That's the, like I said, I think that's going to be a good value. And again, it's kind of fitting with the whole white color scheme for the whole build. So from there, we need a power supply and storage. So when I was looking at SSD prices, first of all, I want 2 terabytes. Now, I know you could save money and go down to 1 terabyte or even less, but honestly, with game install sizes just absolutely huge right now, I wanted at least 2 terabytes to avoid just annoyances on managing the storage space. I think it's really inconvenient to be less than 2. So I sorted for SSD, 2,000 gigabytes, sort prices low to high. And the least expensive is $114, but I noticed that if you just spend an extra $6, we can jump up to an actually very fast PCIe 4.0 drive. This one, I think it's like it is quite fast. I guess we could pull up the actual specs on that to double check. But yeah, this one is quite fast. So we've got read-write, looks like the speed's up to 7,400 megabyte per second write and 6,600 megabyte per second read. Again, for gaming, like honestly, you don't necessarily need the fastest one, but like I said, it was $6 more than the least expensive 2 terabyte drive. And it's a pretty fast drive. I don't think we're going to need anything faster than that. So I think that made a lot of sense to add to the build for that. Now, where did it go? I forgot to actually add it back to the build, guys. Okay, so we're going to slot that one back in. And like I said, you can obviously go with less storage space, but I don't think it's just really inconvenient. So anyway, so that's why I'm gonna go with the 2 terabyte drive here. So we're there other than the power supply. Now with power supplies, there's a number of good options. But I went with the Montech Century 2. Now this, I've showed in previous videos. If you check SPL's PSU tier list, this is like A- tier. And you can get an 850 watt version at $83. It has a 10-year warranty. It's 80 plus gold, cybernetics platinum. Seems to have everything you would want. And then for $99.99, so for a few dollars more, you can get up to 1,050 watts. I think I ended up ordering the 1,050 watt version, but I think it's completely fine to go with the 850 watt version. So I'm kind of showing that one here. So I did just order this case and power supply off of Amazon, so I did buy these as well. So I just bought, now if I'm going to be 100% honest, what I actually just purchased didn't include the CPU. I was more including that for the purposes of this video because I actually have an extra 7800X3D that I'm going to add into this build, which will be faster, but I just have that already. So when I actually ordered stuff today, this is what I purchased. I purchased a motherboard that came with the memory bundled in. Again, the plan is to upgrade to another kit once prices come back down. Got the SSD, got the case, got the power supply. I already own a CPU and CPU cooler I'm going to throw into it. But like I said, that 9600X I think makes a lot of sense for people who are following along at home and need to buy a CPU and cooler. Like I said, that bundle deal on the cooler seems like the best way to go here, and I think should kind of fit the overall build look. And like I said, for the video card, I already have that Steel Legend 9070 XT that I think would fit pretty well into this. But if you're at different price points, here's where we could talk about, you do have some other options for the video card right now if you need to hit various price points. So let's see what kind of pricing we have right now in like 9060 XTs. So 9060 XT, I would go with the 16 gigabyte version. You can get it $350 right now. It looks like there's a Steel Legend that would still kind of fit that same kind of color scheme at $369.99, and there's also a Power Color Hellhound that's more of a true white option, again at $369.99. So if you're in a just needing to cut the budget a bit, I think you'd be very happy with either of these. And if you slot those in there, again, you're coming in at under $1,000 here. And this has everything you need other than, again, operating system and monitor. Now, operating system, I mean, heck, this is, as an AMD build here, might even try out Linux, then you don't have to pay anything. There's been a lot of talk about ditching Windows lately, right? Now, Linux has its downsides. Also, you can, some multiplayer games, anti-cheat isn't supported and all of that. And I'm not going to get into whether you should get a gray market CD key for next to nothing or, buying the full stuff. So I'm going to leave the operating system decision up to you and out of the build price. And honestly, even this 9060 XT is going to be great for 1080p and 1440p. You will have to rely on FSR4 upscaling at times, and games that don't support it, if they're not, anti-cheat type games, you can use Optiscaler to mod it in, usually if the game has DLSS support. But the 5060 Ti 16 gigabyte is another solid option. Now, I've seen them as low as like $370 on some Black Friday sales. Looks like I'm not seeing any of those available today, so it looks like $410-ish. And it looks like you'd be spending more if you want to get anything that might fit into the white color scheme build, so that's something to think about. But if you're less concerned about the aesthetics and just more of you'd prefer the NVIDIA route, cheapest option, you could get something like this 5060 Ti. Let's see how the 5070s are doing today. That's kind of an in-between. So 5070s, doesn't look like a lot of discounted white options. Looks like lowest I'm seeing right now is 510. Again, I had seen as low as like 580 recently, so that's a bit annoying. And that's one reason why I said the 9070 XT. Again, first of all, I already have one, but it's also, I think, getting you to a pretty high-end build here and makes a lot of sense. So I think either going with that 9060 XT 16 gigabyte or 9070 XT make a lot of sense depending on if your budget is more the $1,000 range or more like the $1,200 range. For the overall build pricing there. I think either of those make sense. Now, for monitors, I want to do a whole video about monitors. Now, I want to be 100% clear. My plan is to use a monitor that I already have and I was sponsored to advertise, but despite the fact that I was sponsored to advertise it, and this video is not sponsored, I want to be clear. So I'm going to be pairing it up with this KTC monitor that I received as a sponsorship and advertised in a previous video. This video I'm doing right now isn't part of that, but it is just really decent for the specs. So that's my plan. Again, you get this $20 off here, getting this to $159.99 for a 200 hertz 210 with OC 1440p monitor. Like I said, I already have it. I've tried it out, so I'm going to be pairing it up with that. You could get other options, but basically, I think this build makes a lot of sense for a high refresh rate 1440p display, and for well under $200, you've got this option and others that I think could make a lot of sense, and that's the one that I'm going to be pairing it up with. So anyway, this is my Black Friday build. Like I said, mine, I already own some components, so that'll look a little bit different, but this makes a lot of sense. Like I said, around $1,200. That 9070 XT makes a lot of sense. And like I said, if you're close to a $1,000 limit, I think that 9060 XT 16 gigabyte makes a lot of sense. And if you're thinking about that color scheme, like I said, that Power Color Hellhound or ASRock Steel Legend can certainly get you into that $1,000 price range on it. And that's what I've got for you guys today. There might be other kinds of PC build stuff or deals that I might make videos about. But anyway, I was actually purchasing some stuff this morning. Thought some of the deals were interesting enough that I'd bring it to you guys. And I think altogether it makes what I will hope be a pretty good looking and performing build. When I get the parts, maybe I'll do a video on the actual build itself. We'll see. Let me know if you're interested in that. And I hope all of you have an excellent day.